Our current system would have you believe that you should not believe anything until you see it, that science should be championed, and that mysticism and spirituality and religion should be spat on as just being irrational and childish and for dreamers and children alike. And of course it would have you believe that. Of course it would promote science above spirituality. I mean, this would also promote a very two-dimensional, surface, objective, materialistic way of seeing the world, which is perfect, because then that helps the capitalistic model with its incentives of materialism, having to jump all these hoops so that we can constantly acquire these things, these possessions that end up possessing us. And we're motivated to chase these possessions through, by and to do these occupations, basically. These things we do not really enjoy doing most of the time, but nonetheless, they occupy our time. And I guess that's the point, maybe, is just to keep us occupied in our occupations, to keep us possessed by these possessions, to keep us lost in a two-dimensional map of a physical world composed of measurable scientific things, to be obsessed with technology, and to not question any deeper hidden truths, any deeper hidden meanings underlining the physical means of the world. Alright? But why? Why would we be encouraged to be more scientific and to not consider the deeper meaning? Well, like I said, it keeps us jumping through hoops, it keeps us occupied, it keeps us possessed, it keeps us going back home and just programming ourselves with our programs. Fuck, now we got TVs in our hands. We don't even need to go home anymore. As soon as you finish your occupation, you've gone shopping and bought your possessions, and you feel enough possessed, you feel occupied enough. Second you get on that train or in your car, you can put on some kind of program on your phone to start programming you then. And that's the cycle. We get occupied, then we, after doing the shit we don't want to do, we justify it, we ignore it, we do, what do you call it, therapeutic shopping, retail therapy, that's the one. We go out, we buy things, get possessed by possessions, and then we go home and watch TV or watch TV on our phones. And it just programs us, and it programs this idea that it's normal, that this whole way of life is normal. There's nothing more to it. Nothing. Closed book. Nothing more to see here. See, I've learned in my experience, because I've always been a bit of a contemplator, being an Aquarian, raised in a kind of natural, very wildlife-y kind of place up in the hills for a while. Similar to country, I guess. And I had a lot of time to myself. I managed to escape the hammer of conditioning, had a very isolated upbringing. But it gave me a lot of time to observe and to contemplate and to learn and to explore who I was inside, and that internal landscape that has so much more in abundance and so much more bountiful fruit to be discovered inside. Like my old friend once told me, the world exists inside me and I exist outside of myself. Meaning that we define who we are and our identity through the people and the experiences that we have in the physical world. But really, our universal sense of understanding people and emotions and values and meaning, all that stuff's internal. There's an ocean of meaning there to be explored. And the thing is that we don't really have the time, most of us, to do that, to explore who we are, to know thyself, as they say. And it's not really promoted, this whole self-discovery thing. And even if it was, we just don't have the time because we're too occupied or possessed or programmed. But I would say to you to consider stepping away from the screens a little bit, spending less time programming yourself, spending less time being occupied, doing things you don't want to do, spending less time trying to possess things that end up possessing you. And instead understanding that you're not a body that might possess a spirit, but indeed you are a soul, you are a spirit, you are consciousness itself, possessing a physical form. That's enough, isn't it? What more do you need to possess? What other things of value do you need to decorate the walls of your world with to make your life something beautiful other than yourself? I mean, look at yourself. Look at what you're capable of doing, whether it's artistic or intellectual or physical, spiritual, emotional, the things we are capable of gifting the world and receiving back in return as our reward is endless. That's enough. Possessing this body right here and now is enough. At least for me, it's enough. Being occupied in this body. Fuck, I'm a soul trapped in a body. That's occupation enough. I have to live this life. I have to jump its constant hurdles and trials and tribulations, obstacles, crises. That's occupying enough. And I am possessing my spirit. That's possession enough. And programming, I'm programming my own world. Alright, I'm writing my own algorithms, my own software, and how I interact with the world, my objectives, my incentives, my purpose, my goals. What will make me feel fulfilled. And I know what will make me feel fulfilled because I know thyself a little bit more than I did the day before. And the day before that, the year before, 10 years ago. Each day, I make it a thing to be aware of my surroundings, that I am a center of, to be aware of what's happening, not just externally. That's half of it. But also to be aware of what's happening internally as a result of all that. And often, I will put myself in different situations, environments with different people. When I was 13 years old, I'm 30 now. When I was 13, I had a saying, seek the contradiction. Because if you only stay in the places that you know, that are familiar, that are comfortable and safe, you will not grow. You will not grow. You will not diversify and expand and broaden your horizons as a person on any level. Alright? Whereas if you seek the contradiction, if you seek information that contradicts what you know, seek the experience, the people that contradict what you're familiar to, this will force you to adapt, to expand your understanding of the world, your depth, and your ability to be more compassionate. The more you experience pain in different ways and conflict, it'll allow you to develop more strengths, more tolerances, more abilities and capacities. Life's a game. And you decide the difficulty of the levels for the half of it, at least. You have a certain influence on the difficulty of your levels, on the bosses of your level. And the harder the game, the harder the levels, the tougher the boss, the bigger the reward, the bigger the satisfaction when you pass those levels. And you know what? The biggest boss of every person's game is, in my opinion, is himself. Like I said, know thyself is the biggest task we each have. And overcoming our own blind spots, our own deficiencies, our own flaws. Overcoming our own adversities that we are projecting as we go on these cyclic, routes. And we keep repeating these mistakes because we keep using the same flawed code or flawed understandings. Trying to smooth all of that out. If we are the things that we possess, then we are like a masterpiece, and life is art. So art thou life, and make your biggest job occupying and possessing yourself and life. Make your biggest task to perfect your masterpiece, to the point where you can say that you are a self-actualized master. And then, once you know your vehicle inside out, then you can get on the track of reality, of the bigger picture world with other people, other racers, other drivers and cars. And you can really contribute to the big game. And in this game, it's not about winning, it's not about coming first. It's about helping everyone cross the finish line in the ways that we each really, truly deserve and want to. Or at least the ways we truly deserve to, without even knowing that's what we want deep down. Because we haven't been shown it, because we spit at religion, spit at spirituality, spit at anything that isn't scientific, isn't something we can see, therefore we can't believe it. I just got to keep jumping these hoops so I can keep buying these things. I got to keep being occupied so I can keep possessing, and then go home and keep being programmed. But deep down, a lot of people feel depressed, they feel a void, they feel a lacking, because there is more to it than that. We possess something far greater, and we are on a journey that is so much more glorious than the ones you see on these screens. Trust me.